Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Ears and Tail Podcast, small little podcast where we interview friends and acquaintances and other people who are involved in content or content related things. Today, we're joined by Dexter. He's a good friend of mine, one of my admins, and has also done a lot of my textures. Hello.
Hello.
Would you
Hi.
like to do a quick introduction, give a little bit of rundown of who you are, what type of stuff you do, and what type of content you produce?
Okay. Hello, my name is DexStar. I am a 3D model texturer as well as I do some of the more cozy gaming side of Twitch whenever I do have time. As Lily said, I've done quite a few of her models, not all of them. She has done quite a few. She's great herself. And then I have 58 bases.
Thought I had a lot with
That is a lot of bases.
20 something. You got more than double me. Holy crap.
I do have
58
quite a
bases,
few.
oh my god.
You do have quite a few. Holy crap. So what made you wanna start doing like content, or you primarily do model texturing and stuff? What made you want to do that?
The streaming stuff I decided to do, I noticed a lot of bigger streamers that I watched were very high energy, very kind of out there. It was more of a performative thing, and I like to keep things very, you know, chill vibes. We come out, we hang out. I like to be more interactive with the people around me, whether that's other content creators or whether that's the communities I share with others. With the texturing, I started out when I was in college. I could not afford to commission somebody to do any textures for me. And back then, when prices were like 150, 160,
Oh yeah.
I had made the decision to start texturing for myself, but also for other people in the same situation.
I remember when I was looking at getting custom textures for the Rascal Rabbit, and I was seeing like $70, $80, and I'm like, this is twice the price of the model. Why am I paying someone to do this when I've already paid $40 for the model? So I feel you. I definitely feel you.
Did did at one point look for some custom retexture from the person who made it often, and the prices, I'm not going to say they're bad, 'cause I feel like artists nowadays have to price them up a bit, especially with retextures, but like sometimes price is a bit steep and you don't really have that much in your pocket at the moment.
So you mentioned when it comes to streaming, you do it kind of casually and occasionally. What type of games do you say are good casual games? What type of games you enjoy?
I like I know everyone's definition for cozy is a little bit different. Anything low stress survival. I really like games like Valheim, Stardew Valley, Fields of Mystria. Pokemon's a really good one.
I don't know if I'd
Just games that
call
you don't.
Valheim low stress, but I'll go with it.
No, for sure.
Everyone has a
having
different
having
definition of low
having played
stress, Lily.
Valheim with your husband, I don't know if I'd consider it low stress.
I think it's the way that he plays. um, but I do play some more high stress games. Valheim. Rune Factory. I'm thinking about going in and streaming, but it's definitely a more high stress game in terms of combat and story. And there's just a lot more to it than most JRPGs.
Yeah. RPGs are kind of an interesting territory. In my experience, you've got the ones that are
Yeah.
actually like super casual, super chill, and then you have the one where, oh, it's just nothing but tactical, and you have 7,000 things happening at once you gotta figure out, and you have no time to do it. So, I get it. JRPGs are weird. So, you primarily stream on Twitch when you do stream? Would you look at doing YouTube? Do you think it would help you grow any?
I think that the community on YouTube's a little bit different in the sense of what they're looking for. Whereas on Twitch you're streaming, the whole game out to people, and on YouTube they may be looking for more of a, here's the highlights version of it. I've considered looking at YouTube, but I don't know if the way that things are that people prefer would line up with the way that I want my content to be.
That's fair enough. I mean, there is the whole make content that you want to make, and hopefully people will enjoy it and watch you. But I do understand there is that little bit of a difference between the platforms. Anything you'd like to ask personally, Lim?
So, on stream, you mostly have your persona on screen. Where does that come from? Is there like a origin story, some stuff we haven't heard of, where your persona comes from?
So it's kind of a long one.
We have the time.
Yeah.
So with DexStar, it initially started off as a character that was created for me by one of my younger siblings when I was probably about 11 or 12 years old, and her name was Styx, so like river to hell, and she was like this like dragon, almost like Dutch angel dragon type of character. She had like the fire coming off her tail. Her hair was made of fire. Wielded a sword. She's just like your very stereotypical like female character in a video game kind of look. She probably was closer to a kobold. And as I started to get older, and this character would continuously change for me. I went from being a dragon to being a canine to, I mean, there was a bunny in there somewhere. to when I got my first actual fursuit, which was a beautifully made character, and due to circumstances I had to let that character go. And I couldn't find another character that I connected with in the same way that I did with that one. And so I have been going through characters, as most of you who know me probably know, I've been going through different characters for a couple of years now, with Dexter and with Sherbert, and then now to DexStar. I ultimately took the parts that I loved most from that loving, bubbly character of Sherbert, and that very like calm, like I love to be here. I'm whatever happens happens from Dexter, and I created DexStar.
Very interesting. So,
And
as someone
very interesting to know about.
who does textures, do you mind showing off some of the things you've created? Obviously, this is one of them. Do you have any examples of your work you would like to show off?
Yes. Here, let me. So this is one of my more recent ones. I have one that I have been streaming with that I have not uploaded as of yet, but we'll go through some of the ones that I've done as of recent. Oh. Yeah, a couple of them. It's been making things a little bit slow.
We had the same issue right before with Two-Face.
Yeah, we had to find Two-Face in Avatar.
So this is the Chai Goat. This is the most recent one I've done of the Sherbert character.
Well,
let me see.
I thought the goat was the original basis of DexStar, and then you moved over to what you are now.
I did. So this was kind of the middle ground between Sherbert and DexStar. That bridge in between. And with the eyes especially.
Yeah. You get a lot of the markings from Sherbert with some of the stuff you've added to DexStar, like the eyes, the horns.
Even though I know you just recently redid it.
That is one of my models.
Lily OG bird.
That is the OG Lily Space Chicken form.
Talking about the challenges with texturing. You know, I know you brought up the Tatum. I'm gonna switch over to it. I'll wait for it to
I
load here
don't
for a second.
I don't think the Tatum is so much a texture issue as when you uploaded it, something broke.
Oh no, it's both. And I'll explain why here in a second. Alright, so Tatum. So, as you can see, my mouth does not move. I mean, it does, and it moves quite a bit. However, not in the way I would like for it to.
Yeah, you somehow
Um,
don't have visemes, and you have like the extra wiggly Tatum snout.
and the tail. But this was one of the avatars I started. One of the first ones I had ever worked on, aside from just doing the actual texturing of it. Now, this was probably the third model I ever textured. So it could definitely use an update. But the Tatum itself, learning how to use Unity and getting over the hurdles there, I'm very excited to revisit and hopefully make a functioning Tatum.
Hopefully not a completely
What
broken Tatum that in
functioning? It
MMDs.
works.
MMDs, the mouth just kind of hangs open and flops about.
Hey, at least we see the Tatum. That's already the start.
We all start somewhere, you know?
Going on with difficulties texture, and I remember you having some issues with the Avali.
Oh, for sure. For some reason, there are certain models that do not like their substance painter file, do not like computers at all. And as I've learned, it's regardless of how much RAM you have in your computer.
Oh yeah,
As Lily has learned.
64 gigabytes of RAM, and I still almost crashed doing that texture.
Now, when learning to texture, you're gonna have moments where it's like, I don't know if I can ever make a character that I love as much as the one I made. The one I'm switching into, as Lily probably remembers, was one of those characters for me where I fell in love with the actual texturing on it and could not let it go. My goodness, here we go. Let me
Oh yeah,
go back out
35
here.
megabits, and it has to because I've never loaded it.
if I remember correctly, this is
But
a
speaking of
public one
characters-
too, right?
Yep. One of the only public textures I have. But this is Rocky. I spent 8.5 hours specifically on the back.
Yeah, that one, the mosaic work on that is amazing. The back, the sides, the neck, the shoulders.
This is also the one I learned how to overlay specific textures on it, as you can see with the marking on the chest.
Yeah. That one is amazing.
Amazing, it's taking me a while to load.
I just switched out of it too.
God damn it.
Hi. I know you're not really a huge streamer. Like you said, you kind of do it when you have time and you're really casual about it. But is there any advice you'd give anyone trying to get into content? And
Oh,
for you, because you do a lot of like textures and everything, is there any advice you'd want to give to someone trying to learn how to texture model?
for sure. With streaming, one of the biggest things I always tell everyone who is brand new to it, don't give up. Do what you love. And your community will follow. with texturing, it's a lot like streaming in the regards of the longer you do it, you can only get better. You are gonna have moments where you feel like you're not improving, or you feel like I could be doing this better, or I could learn how to do this, and you may find it overwhelming, but in the long run, it comes out to be something that brings you a lot of satisfaction in that you grew that yourself. I mean, I didn't start texturing and immediately know how to do it perfectly. It took, I mean, I've been doing it for 2.5 years, and the same goes with streaming. I mean, I may not stream very often, but I stream when I want to stream, and I stream what I love.
Valid. And more on what Dexter was saying with texturing, as someone who's just getting into it myself, texturing is an art form, and art takes time to master. It's not something you're going to be able to jump into immediately and know everything about. Go at your own pace. Learn what you need to learn. Anything you'd like to add or ask, Lem?
Yes, and texturing art in general. I had a lot with my personal experience and back experience. I've had I dabble a lot in mostly pixel art, and I hope to show this to this channel one time, hopefully. And I've had a lot of people, well, generally like kids, because I used to work with a lot of kids before, and they always this question of how do you do it so good? And I kept telling them that if you do good art, it's gonna take time because you're gonna have to learn a lot. You're gonna have to put time aside to improve your craft, improve what you do, and it's good art takes time. Bad art, you can just whip something up very fast, and it's gonna. Yeah, I feel like that's very good advice to say that. Of course, when you're gonna start making pixel art, making retextures, making YouTube videos like we are doing right now, of course the quality is not be perfect right from the start because you're still learning, and I feel like that learning part is the most important one because if you don't learn what are doing it for, then it's kind of like
Yeah,
it's kind of like the most
anything
important part of art is learning.
with anything art based, there's going to be hiccups. The trick
Yeah.
is not letting hiccups discourage you. Do you agree with that?
For sure. Oh, believe me, there have been times where I've wanted to put the models away and just move to something else. And I mean, the biggest thing with learning how to do something new is don't give up.
Yeah.
Because when you give up, that's when you say, hey, I'm done learning this. Not that there's nothing left for you to learn.
Yeah. And I'd like to say I haven't dealt with that with streaming, but I definitely have, where I get burnt out and demoralized to the point where I'm like, you know what? Maybe it is time to throw in the towel and call it quits. Don't give up. Don't let other people make you want to stop doing something you care about. Don't make a temporary hiccup make you give in to the thoughts and say, okay, maybe I can't do this, maybe it's not worth it. It's an art form, it takes time, and nobody's perfect right out the gate.
I'm not perfect with my pixel art. I'm still learning.
I'm not perfect with my textures. There's always room to grow.
I'm not the
Yeah,
best streamer there is out there, but learning, and I'm doing what I enjoy.
you're pretty good at it, no?
Okay. Before we close this out, before we end the interview, is there anything you'd like to ask us? Is there any other advice you'd like to offer? Just in general advice. Doesn't have to be art related, doesn't have to be streaming related, just general advice.
if you are new to doing something, especially like hobbies that take up a lot of your time, or even streaming and trying to set up those schedules, and you also work like I do, don't let it discourage you, because sometimes those things that you love to do the most are the escape that you need from your day to day. Yeah, I think that's all.
I would consider that pretty solid advice.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Anything you'd like to add in, Lem, or ask before we close out?
Where can we find you?
Actually, a good
The
question, and we
Twitter,
did
I'm
forget
assuming?
that.
We forget the links.
we did forget the links.
um,
What platforms can we find you? What social media stuff do you have?
I have um, I have a Twitch, Instagram, X, and bluesky. And I also have a TikTok account. And they should all be under LemonDexStar.
Okay.
Right.
And I'll
We'll
make
give the
sure.
links to
Yeah.
everything anyway.
I'll make sure we have all the links to Dexter and ourselves down in the video description below. So please, anyone watching this, make sure to check everyone out. Go give some support to everyone involved in this production. With that being said, I think we are basically done here. So this has been episode 4 of The Ears and Tail. This is again a small little podcast style thing where we interview people involved in content or content creators themselves. If you've enjoyed this, please feel free to leave a like, drop a sub, come say hi. I'm Lily. This is Lemmy. We were joined
I'm
by
Lemmy.
the amazing Dexter today. And take care of yourself. Be safe out there. It's a wild world.